Hello and welcome to the third session creation tutorial video. In this video I will be talking about navigation points, score and schedules. Now, what are navigation points? Navigation points are the little icons that you can see rendered while driving a session. Sometimes they can tell you to go straight through, sometimes they'll tell you to turn left, turn right, stop here, passenger station, yada yada yada. Those are navigation points or navigation marks if you so desire to say them. As for the score, it's essentially the points that earn you the stars through which you can rank up your levels in this game. Though I have to admit it's pretty useless to rank your levels as they don't really mean anything. But I will still explain how to do this all and how to pretty much add the score to your game to make players feel like they've accomplished something. So, let's get started. In the previous video I've basically done the freight train coming in, unloading and getting our tracks to leave. However, the player doesn't really know what they have to do when they join in. Okay, not join in, when they load up the session. They will get thrown into the locomotive. The train is currently under control of the station, loading, unloading. Okay, fine. What next? They still have a red signal because the freight train is coming in. Once it passes, they have green signal, but they don't know what to do. Okay, obviously they have to drive, but to where? How? Why? What for? So, let's get into it, and let's start with the very first station where the player starts, and that's this here. So, as I've said, we firstly have to wait for our train to load passengers and for the freight train to pass. Which one of them is done sooner? The passenger loading is done sooner. Why? Because I've already tested that in the previous video, where we've got control of the player train before the AI left the junctions to switch around our tracks. So, that means, despite the freight train taking longer, we will not refer to it. We will, however, refer to the loading at the station, but time it with the freight train. So the player will have no idea there's a freight train coming in until it pops out behind the corner. However, completing the first waypoint, the first navigation point, will be dependent on that freight train. So let's get down to it. Open your tracks tab, press F4, and then go into your trackside mode, press Y. And I'm lying, because you have to go to the track mark mode, so press V. Because V will need track markers. These little red triangles. Now, their orientation doesn't matter on the tracks. They can be whichever way you rotate them. It's okay, doesn't matter. I'm gonna place my track mark under the train, under the locomotive. Now, you may have noticed that when I place the track mark on the track, the properties for the track mark already popped up. So, with these track marks that we're going to be placing in the session layer, we have to, I recommend at least, not that we have to, but I highly recommend naming them systematically or just naming them in general so that you know what is where, why, how you want to do it and stuff like that. So in my purposes, I'm gonna be naming this one the station name, then player. Wait. However, I know I will have tens of track marks throughout the session. Okay? In that case, I recommend a completely different naming system. The one that I use pretty much for all sessions. And that is player 01 or 001, really depends. It doesn't really matter. Station name, stop or wait. Yeah, player has to stop there. So that's gonna be our first check mark. But we will be using the check mark twice? No, only once. Okay. It's always good when you're making a session to think about it. Will I be needing the check mark twice? Will I be needing it once? And that, based on that, you name your next check mark or rename this one. So for example, if I were to use this check mark twice, I would name it player 01-2, for example, or 01-02. Or just keep it as 01, but name the next one as 03. Because that way, when you will be finalizing the setup, you will notice that, oh, wait, hold on, I missed 02. So that means something has to happen at 01. Just for an example. Or, oh, I missed 02. Okay, let me add it in. Or, okay, let me check if I wanted to have something on a 01, and if not, I just misspelled. That's okay, happens as well. And when you have like 60 check marks, you're not gonna be renaming every single one, moving it one down when you mistype something. So instead of, when you have a row of like 43, 44, 45, you just name them 43, 45, you miss the 44, you're not gonna be naming the rest of them up to 60, like going that one down. Nah. You can just go to them, be like, did I want something here? No? Okay, good, continue. It's not dependent that much. The naming is there really for just you to know at least somewhat what you want to do. In my case, I'm gonna keep only 01. I'm gonna be using the check mark once. Now, the second check mark I'm gonna put behind the station, and it's gonna be player 02 exit station name. Now it's good to name them in that way so that you get an idea of what you wanted at the check mark to happen. What is their purpose? If you say stop, okay, obviously player stop. If you say leave station, leave station. Pass through, change track, turn off, unloaded industry, loaded industry, yada yada yada. It all can be done in the name of the track marker. It can be as long as you want, no one is gonna be stopping you. So you can name them really as long as you really want, and as long as you know what their purpose is, you're good to go. Right. So our next track mark over here is gonna be pass through station. So I'm gonna name player 03 pass through. And what is the station name? We don't know its station name. There's no signs telling us the station name. So let's just zoom out and let's look at the name. Station name is Suchadiera. Alternatively, what you can do instead of zooming out is press Ctrl M and it will bring up the minimap. When you look, you can see Suchadiera station. Now there's the map display options. You saw me open them before a little. That's where you can, just add and change things around to your liking. Gradients, junction signals, triggers, markers, yada yada yada. Filter them out, filter them in to what you need. I need industry names, so I have that checked in. I can see this is Suchadiera, I'm gonna be using that. The next station is, for example, Kvasnica, then Sladka Muka, then Dukatoluchki. It's just like that. Right. Pass through station name, Suchadiera. Just like that. Orientation, once again, doesn't matter. And moving down the line. I will make our train not stop anywhere. So once again, player, but what number are we on? After you get like a certain number of check marks. You might start getting lost, like what was the last check mark I placed? What was it? And that's when your naming system comes in handy. Press Ctrl F, it will bring out find object. Now type all consist industry, this very first thing, it's a roll down window, there's this thing called trackside. Select that, for example. If you want, you don't have to, but when you name your trains, that they have, if a train has player in its name, it will show up here as well. So change the type to checkmark and then name, type in player. Now we can see the checkmarks that we've placed so far. Ihlanovo stop, clicking on them teleports you to them. Ihlanovo exit, pass through Suchadiera. So clicking on them teleports you to stuff. And you can see them in a beautiful little list like this. So I can see my last checkmark was 03. Clicking cross teleports you back to your original position before you've clicked Ctrl F. So I'm gonna name this checkmark player 04, pass through station name, Kosnica. Alright. Now, yeah, missed station here. And once again, just player 05, pass through whatever name of this station is. I believe I should, yep, Slatka Muka. For example, just like that. And another station. Now, as you go through this process more and more often, you will get more used to it. So, player 06, Dukatove, Luchki. Now, problem will happen when you name when you name two track marks with the same number. In that case, okay, fine, not a big deal. They still have different names, so the game will not be confused when you assign them. However, you can get confused. So it's important to really keep an eye out on the numbering. And if you do number two stations with the same number, it's good to at least check. If you don't want to rename it, it's good to check which of them comes first. Here's our next station, player 07, pass through Herepin station. Just like that, nice and easy. Now, we are entering the destination of the player train. This is where we want the player to end. This station. So, how do we approach it? Well, first things first, it would be good to let your player know where exactly are they going to stop. So, you can see this junction here is diverging towards all the platforms. 1, 2, and 3. As such, I'm gonna be placing a track mark here. And let's name it. Player 08. And now, to which platform do you want the player to go? 1, 2, or 3? Let's see here. Our train is quite long. It would not fit on platform 1. Platform 2 is medium long and platform 3 is the longest. So let's say that I'm gonna send the player train to platform 2, which means we will have to diverge. So player 08, turn off P2 and station name. So turning off, diverging from the line that we're going. So we're gonna be turning off. P2, platform 2, and station name Pohranicie. Okay, just like that. So going into platform 2, let's place another checkmark at the end of the platform. player 09 pogranicze, station name, stop. We're gonna tell the player to stop on that check mark. Now, this entire time you may have been noticing the 20-meter radius below it, below our name of the check mark. You might be wondering what that is. Well, opening the advanced menu on the right here, you will get the radius setting for check marks and trackside objects in general. The first icon, get trigger radius, the second icon, set trigger radius, and the third icon is adjust trigger radius. The field in the middle allows you to set a radius. Minimum is 1, maximum no idea, haven't tried really ever, so can't tell you. But I know the minimum is 1 meter. What does this mean? If you set the radius, let's say 5 meters, let's select the set trigger radius, the second option, and click on the track mark. You see how the red splooge that was covering the track has kind of shrinked down and is showing the radius now of 5 meters. Now, 5 meters is from the middle to the end, which means the entire radius across is 10 meters. The diameter is 10 meters. Well, half of it is the 5 meters. So you're setting that 5 meter radius to get the 10 meter diameter of the trigger. Now this means if the player stops outside of this radius, the trigger or the track mark will not register it. However, when the player stops even slightly over that radius, within the radius, it will be registered, it will be triggered. You can use this for if you want to have precise stopping points in your routes, on your sessions. As I said, minimum is 1 meter. You can set it like that. I'm gonna keep it at 20 so that it's a bit easier. Now, quick tip, you can do this to junctions. The default junction radius is 20 meters as well. That means if the train is within 20 meters, if a train is stopped within 20 meter radius, the junction will be locked. However, you can change the radius to be smaller so that you, when shunting, don't have to worry about going all the way to fuck of nowheres in order for the junction to unlock. Nope, I did not want to do that. Sorry. Right. So, let's program the path, the score, everything up until this station from all the way down here. Alright. So, we have the check marks in place. You can close that. Now, edit menu. It's actually good to like not click on anything else. Just a quick tip. Because knowing these names is... There we go, there's the engine. I was getting scared, okay. But yeah, knowing the name of these is quite good. Okay, fine, you can remember where you've placed them, but you will be going along the route. You will be able to see the scenery, the place you're working on. You will be able to move your camera, you will be able to look around, you will be able to read names. And that's what's important. Because as much as you want to remember what was where, just so you don't have to close the next window that I'm gonna pop up, you don't click on anything else. You can hide this tab, but keep it on the track side so that you can see the names of the track marks. So, top left corner, edit menu, edit session, or Control R. And once again, our edit session window pops up. I'm gonna put it this time more to this side of the screen, because this will give us more space to look on what we're gonna be working with. You want to see the background. You want to see the actual route. So we have this configured from before. Now, what I'm gonna do is gonna be your standard thing that you should learn to do almost immediately. And that is to systematically, once again, yes, I know, to systematically divide stuff so that you know what you have where, how you have it, why, how, why, just everything. Every single WH question. Can't think of them all. Tired. Right. So we're gonna add rule. Now in this window, we're gonna search for simultaneous list. And we're gonna add it in. Now, that while you have it selected, we're gonna do a little bit of a trickery. Press Ctrl C and then press Ctrl V few times. Copy paste it in, just like that. Now, open the first one and don't change anything that's like within the white part of the window that popped up. We're gonna be changing the name of it. To what, you might think? Well, there's two simultaneous lists that you will have at the very start of the session running. That is, you're gonna name one of them points, and the other one is gonna be named system. You can change them, hop them around as much as you want, doesn't really matter which one is first, which one is second. They both will be running at the same time. Now, our system, what's it gonna do? The system list is gonna be the entire operations of the session. Junction changes, signal changes, track mark checks, check side checks, train movements, stuff like that. So over here I have the set junction and the check track side. Select both of them. You can hold Ctrl to select both. If you then open something, it will close. But yeah, select both of these, and you can either drag them one by one, which is not recommended. But yeah, when you have them both, hold Ctrl and use your arrow keys to move down and right. Now, our first set junction and our first set check side is in the simultaneous list called system. These are gonna be our systems. Now, as for points, I'm gonna get to those later. Now, why do we have all these other simultaneous lists in here? Well, good question. Name them after the stations you're gonna be working with. So in my case, this one's gonna be called Ihlanova. Let's put it up one and right one, and then put it up like this, above the set junctions. Now, once you start playing around with like holding control and moving stuff around in here, you will get to know quite some nice tricks. So let's just say this simultaneous list is on the bottom. We want it to be in the system list, and we want those two rules that are in the system to be below this one that we want to put in. So let's do that. Put it up above the points, go on right, move through them, put them left, and then right again. You see what happened there? This simultaneous list for this station has pretty much taken the rules that we have added to the system. This works with every single thing you do. So let me show you once again. Let's say this one, go on up, go on right, go on above, left, right, boom. Simultaneously list. How to get out of it? Go to the bottom one, choop, choop, done. Just like that. Once you start holding control and moving around with the arrow keys, experimenting around is the best way to learn stuff. I recommend getting several rules like this, move them around a bit, get a feeling of them, their movements, how to navigate through the stuff. It will be very helpful to you in the future once you start designing more complex stuff and where there's gonna be more of them. Because moving them around one by one is not exactly a nice thing to do. Getting more of them, also yes, you can hold shift to select several more between, just let's say click the bottom one and let's click the points one. Everything in between will be selected. Boom, 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 boom. Just like that. Also, you may have seen that it disappeared there. That's because this one is collapsed. Now it's uncollapsed, collapsed, uncollapsed, you know. So if you move them like that, they will just hide. Right, let's keep on track. So, as I said, points are gonna be taken care of later. The first things first, gonna be taking care of the system. So let's move these guys up and one like this. Now, we don't really have any more of like system to take care of until we reach the final station on our journey. So let's go to that one and set that up. So our final station here, destination, is called Pohraničie. Put that in. Good. Now, some junctions are already set correctly, some junctions are not set correctly. That's up to you if you want to add them to the set junctions rule. But the ones that are already set correctly, you don't have to add them to the set junctions rule, unlike in previous video, because I'm gonna show you another rule today which is gonna do something like that for you. So we have Pt.10, Pt.09, they're set good. Pt.15 and Pt.16 are not good. So once again, set junction. So click add, find set junctions, and you see I still had simultaneously called Pohraničie selected. That's for this station. I clicked add and it said it added the new rule into the simultaneously of system. Flop it one to the right is now in Pohraničie. Set junctions. We're gonna add junction as in last video, Pt.15. Oh, that's 115, not 15. Pt.15, and we're gonna add Pt.16 like that. Now block AI control just like in last video. 15 is gonna go left, 16 is gonna go right. Close that, we have this junction set. Let's check these other junctions, but they should be correct. Yes, okay. Good. So, now that you have that, let's just say that's gonna be the end for now. So, these other simultaneous list, you can select them all and click delete. Are you sure you want to delete them? Yes. They're gone. So, no space wasted. Now, this means we have the system prepared. We have the junctions ready and done. So, what now? Well, let's talk about the new rule that will lock the junctions that are already properly set. However, I must warn you about this rule. I'm lost. I should follow the map, honestly, because... Alright, there we go. So, the rule, what it does, it locks all junctions. However, it doesn't really work properly, and it will also lock the junctions in the surveyor. Now, that's something you want to avoid. So the rule that I'm gonna show you, you add it at the very end of your session when you are 110% done. Okay? And that rule is called lock all junctions. As much as it suggests, yes. This rule obviously locks all the junctions, but really add them only at the very end when you are finally done with the session and you're happy how it works. Alright. I'm gonna add it now because I know my junctions are set. I'm not gonna be doing anything else. Now you might be thinking, oh, but when I remove it, it will all work again, right? No, it will not. Once you remove that session rule, the junctions will still be locked. As I said, it doesn't work correctly, so that's why you add it at the very end. It does the job, it still does the job, but working with it is tricky, that's all. No need to be scared. You fucked up, you added it before, doesn't matter. The set junctions rule, this one, can override the lock. You want to unlock some junction, put those junctions into the set junctions, they will be unlocked when you drive the session. They will still be locked when you are in the surveyor, in the editor, but when you drive, they will be unlocked. So set junctions overrides lock all junctions, but only in driver. Right. So that's our simultaneously done for the system. Now, the points are a little bit tricky to get done. So, for the points, you will need several different rules to pretty much get stuff done. And since we have a passenger train, I'm gonna try and divide it somehow, but also keep it all together in this one video. So first things first, you want points in your session. Add rule when you clicked somewhere outside of the simultaneous list. So let's say you're clicked on the interlocking tower paths, I am. Click add and find ranked session begin, and below points you put ranked session complete and put it one right. Now why we will get to the ranked session complete later. Ranked session begin, edit it. Here in the properties you can see points required for each star rating. 1 star 1000 points, 2 star 1250, 3 stars 1500, yada yada yada. You can see that. Session timer mode, timer countdown known. We have a passenger train. We are not I'm not doing a race, we don't have a challenge. Timer mode none. Points required for each star rating. How many stations are we passing? Let's close all of this with the check marks. Let's zoom out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. However, at our destination, let's do 2. So it's gonna be 8 total. Alright? So 8 stations, 8 points that we have to pass, 8 places where we get points. Now, the maximum of points is unlimited, really. You can put it like that. You can overflow the integer if you so desire. What I'm gonna do, since we have 8 stations, I'm gonna put it to 800 points as the 5 stars. That's gonna be, let's say, 600, 400, 200, 100. No, that's gonna be too easy at this point, because I want to give 100 points per passed checkpoint or past checkmark. So let's do 200, 400, 500, 650. As we like that. So you will be dividing these points up to pretty much match what you want. It really depends on what kind of session you're making. If it's passenger, if it's freight, you know, every single thing. You can also point something very differently. So for example, when you're shutting around, oh, just going through here, that's 50 points, and going through here, that's 100, and that right there is 500 points. That's really up to you to decide. But you can change them accordingly, but know what the maximum is that you want to reach and do it accordingly. Of course, you can come to this anytime in the future as well, change it around for your needs. Right, so that's rank session begin. Rank session complete, there are several things we can do with this. We can set the active rank session as complete or failed, and we can customize the completion message, and we can allow quick loading of next session. Now, if you've played my recently released sessions for this route that I'm working on here, you know that I've used the allow quick loading of next session. What this does is that you can select which session after this should be loaded as a next session, as an option for the player to continue on the next session. Customize the completion message. It will throw at you a nice little message box. You can type in it, let's say, congratulations, you have finished this session. Just like that. And let's say it's complete, of course. Right. Now we are very far from done with this, because if I were to run this now, you would complete the session before it even started. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. So, ranked session begin, okay. Below this, search for navigation display and open the properties of that. Now we're getting into the bit more complex stuff, but it's quite easy after a little while. It's just gonna be very time consuming. Now we need to set everything here up. Unique set ID, train, draw distance, navigation mode, and then locations, blah 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 blah. Yep. So, let's go one by one. Unique set ID. This is the ID that you give to this navigation display. Let's set it to 001. You can have multiple navigation displays in your session. It's a very good idea to divide them up once the session gets too long, or when there are some major splits. For example, you deliver a train to a station and suddenly you have to run around. That's a split. That's when you should switch to a different navigation display. They will work in one go as well, but troubleshooting will be a bit harder, because sometimes, even if it's set correctly, the game will do a miscalculation and fuck itself up. So even if you have it all good, it wouldn't work, and you would have to go through a bit of an extended process that I do not want to talk about right now, nor ever, to get it fixed. So that's why you split them apart at reasonable places. Of course, too many navigation points, navigation displays is not recommended as well, because, well, you will lose yourself in it. It will work better, but you will very, very lose yourself amongst them. So, what train do we want? Of course, we want the player train. So, find it, select it, add it, check mark. Draw distance. I haven't really properly played around with this, but from what I've read up on the wiki and stuff, it's basically when these points come into view. So you can set up whether you want these points to come into view immediately. So if you set it to 0, whether you want them to come into view once the player gets closer to them. So for example, when player is 700 meters away, they will pop up. and stuff like that. I'm gonna keep it at default, like it's here. Right. Navigation mode. Now this once again depends on what kind of session you're doing. Let's see here. All points must be completed in sequence. All points will be completed in sequence but can be skipped. All points must be completed but in any order. Those are the three options you have, no more. For our purposes, we are gonna be basically doing a straight pass-through train, going one by one across the stuff. We're not gonna be shunting. So for this purpose, we're gonna select all points must be completed in sequence, the first one. If you have a shunting session or something like that, you can have all points must be completed, but any order, just like that. So now below the thick white line, you can see location, icon, asset, display text, icon, index style, yada yada yada. Click here to set. Now this is gonna be your working grounds for majority of the session development. So we have 8 points to go through in here. So there's this plus over there and there, below and on the side. Let's add 7 more points to this so that we can get 8 of total, just like that. And first things first, let's go one by one. I'm not gonna be focusing on any of these 2 to 8 right now. I'm gonna explain everything on the first one, and then I'm gonna quickly set up the rest. So first things first, location. Now this is a track mark. You have to find the track mark that you want to be pretty much used. So for our case, let's say player 01 Ihlanova stop. Find it, select it, click check mark. Good. Icon asset, click here to set base navigation point icons. You will notice that on the following ones it's set to that automatically. The first one is never set automatically, so it's a bit confusing, but it's not that bad. Next up on the right side we have display text. Now what do we want to tell the player that they're doing here? They are doing a passenger loading. So load passengers. Icon index. Clicking that will give you a list of possible icons that you can use here for different purposes to tell to the player. In my case, since we are loading a passenger, I'm gonna select the icon called passenger stop. Checkmark, it's in there. Now what kind of style? This is very important. There's 3 styles: automatic, manual, and require stop. Automatic will be done when the train passes the navigation point. Even if the icon is set to stop, it will be counted in when passed, when even approached, as completed. The manual one will allow you to manually set when that navigation point is gonna be completed, when it's gonna disappear. And then the require stop, obviously that one will automatically disappear once the train stops on it. So for our purpose, since we are already stopped, we are waiting for something, we have to manually trigger it. So gonna set it to manual. What's gonna trigger it? The freight train. So before I get to the other icon thing is here, click check mark here and open your system. Now You remember we have here check track side for the freight train. Select the check track side, click add, find simultaneous list, add it in like that. Now hold Control left, then right. Now select set junctions, add, and what we're gonna have to put in is navigation point complete. You can see it's very red. So open it up, edit the properties of it. Here you can see mark navigation point 1, since it's the first point in our navigation display that we're gonna be completing. In set, this is when the ID comes in place, 001. So what this means is that this is set to manual, and that navigation point will be considered complete when the freight train passes this junction down here. Actually, I'm gonna put it on this side as I earlier. It's better to have it on this side, it's easier to see. Gonna make it all the way from top to bottom. Just like that. Okay. So we have the first point set. So let's open the navigation display again and let's put in the other player locations. So what you can do here, you can type in the name, half of it, player 0 for example, select it all, Control X, Control V, and now you can paste it in there as much as you want. So exit Ihlanovo, that's for the first one. Now paste it in again, pass through Suchadiera, done. Go for the fourth one, again, pass through Kvasnica, done. Oh, that's church. So yeah, stop, just like that. And since it's just gonna be going through them, the default set to proceed forward, which is a straight arrow, just go through. That's good. However, for the text, you don't need to put anything. Well, it's not like you could anyway, but like, you don't ever have to put anything into the text. But what I'm gonna do is tell the player that they have to pass through the station. So, pass through. Actually, no, hold on. This point is exiting Ihlanovo, so I'm gonna name it exit Ihlanovo. Next one is pass through station name, Suchadiera. Next one is pass through Kvasnica. Yes, there is a character limit on this. You cannot make it as long as you want. Next one, player 05. And let's do this one as well, 06. 07. Actually, no, we have way more points than this. Okay. So I'm gonna put 10 in. Let's see how's that gonna work out. So that's 07, 08, okay. And 09 is gonna happen twice. Just to show you some additional stuff. So once again, just name them pass through station name. Pass through station name again. You can see there, it didn't fit. So if you have a good language, you can just shorten it like that, or just do a different format, doesn't really matter. Now, we are finally on this turn here. We've just came into the station. So, what do we have to do here? We have to turn off. Player 8, turn off platform 2. So, we're gonna be changing the icon. We're no longer going forwards. So, click the proceed forward icon and change it to proceed left for my case. Completion, style, still automatic. Name it turn off? No. Let's say diverge, because let's be, flamboyant, or why not? um, so we're diverging off, going to this platform here. Let's change this icon to stop. Then this is how I do my passenger stations. First things first, I want the player to come to the place and stop. So, what icon do I use? Stop. What style requires stop? What do I display on the text? Stop at station name, pohranicze. And then, right after it stops, I'm gonna set the icon, the style to manual. Icon index is gonna be passenger stop, and display text is gonna be wait for passengers. Now you can have this as load passengers, unload passengers, blah 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 blah. Really, I myself just use wait for passengers. And now you have all the navigation points set up. Those are gonna be the circles that you will see when driving around. Now just to show you, let's confirm that. Remember to save, override, yep, exit surveyor. Now go into drive session. And let's see if they work, how they work. Alright? Sorry about that. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Oh, ha 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 ha. We forgot something. Something very important. But, cannot move this away. I can still move the camera though. You can see our navigation points are in place. Now don't mind the your score high score thingy that I failed it. Don't mind that. I forgot to warn about that, but you basically get to see it here now. That yeah, if you have the ranked session complete just like that without any kind of requirements, this is what's gonna happen. So let's see. Freight train has left the junction. Point has been completed. I'm totally not cheating the system here by driving. And yeah, you can see that our navigation points are working, so that's good. Let's check the next one. Please still do not mind the window in the middle. Let's see, does it work? Yes, it does, indeed. Alright, let's exit. Let's use that button for our quick exit of the session. And once again, if the game gives you a white screen, just open the program manager thingy. And it will get its mind beaten into it again. So, back to edit session. Back to the drawing board. This tutorial is already 53 minutes, 54 minutes long. Brilliant. That's like the funny part. I feel like I'm hardly doing anything in these tutorials, and it just flies off like that. Right. So we're back in the editor. I'll try to keep it as short as possible from now on. Well, I'll still explain everything, but it's gonna be hopefully a bit faster, so that I don't get you guys here waiting for a fucking god knows how long. So, opening this up, getting into place again. So, we know what happened last time. So navigation points work. That's good. That's very good. So, we have that and that set. This thing. Right, I'm gonna be talking about it after we're done. So, next up, the points, the score that you are gonna be earning to get the stars. So, let's just say that for each past track mark, you're gonna get 100 points. Actually, we have how many navigation points here? We have 10. So, rank session begin, set it to 1000, let's do 800, 600, 400, 200, that's good, nice. So, as I said, you can come to that anytime, change it up as you want, boom, done. So, next things next, the points, the score. Now, the first navigation point is going to be completed when our freight train passes the junction. That's when we want our first score to add in. Now, if you want to be messy, you can do it directly in here in the system, but I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm going to select the check track site, press Ctrl C to copy it, go into the points, press V, Ctrl V, to paste it in. I'm gonna get rid of the set junctions over here. I'm gonna set the navigation point to, actually I'm gonna delete that as well, and I'm not gonna be needing a simultaneous list either, so I just need the track site. So we've got that in. Add. To change the score, to add points, subtract points, you need to use variable modify. So putting that in, moving it one right like that. It's on the bottom of the screen now because yeah, you can scroll down even more, so actually I'm gonna do it like this. Alright, so add one to variable score. This is how it's pretty much set up in the beginning, but this is wrong. The default setup is wrong. So we're gonna add 100 points to variable not score, but ranking underscore points. I'm gonna repeat that. You're gonna be adding numbers to ranking underscore points. That's the score. Those are the points that give you the stars. Ranking underscore points. Once you have that set, click the checkbox, you're done with that. And now, we're just gonna be waiting for our player train to pass through the individual track marks. So we're gonna be using a lot of track site. Now let's set it up for copy pasting instead. So it's easier to copy paste and easier to set up later, so that you don't have to always add a new rule and just set everything up. No, set the first stuff that's gonna be repeated, and then copy paste them, and then change the stuff that's gonna be different each time. So check track site. Let's see here. Target track site object. We're gonna leave that empty. Run mode. Enter. Yes. Filter to trains containing player train. And that's all. This is what we're gonna be copy pasting. We have, let's check, how many points do we go through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 2 stopping ones. Let's merge that into 1 stopping one. That's gonna be better. So, it's always better to put in a few more, just in case you figure something else. So, and now we're just gonna be setting up the track sites. So the track marks that we've placed earlier. So this one, exit Hlanovo, confirm. The next one, pass through Suchadiera, confirm. Next one, the fourth station, confirm. Next one, the fifth station, confirm. Next up, the 6th station, confirm. Next up is the 7th station, confirm. That's the wrong thing. Next up is the 8th point, and that is a turn off, confirm. Now, let's merge in the scheduling of passenger trains. If you don't want to have a schedule if you don't want to have scheduled passenger train, do check track side, add that track side in there, which is the player 09 over here, and set it to stop. Just like that, just like that. Add the points and then rank session complete. However, I'm gonna merge it in with the schedule. So let's get rid of the 9th one here. Before that though, the score can just paste in like this. Up. That, like that, and like that. You can collapse them or uncollapse them. So basically hide them like that. You know, they're all adding to the same stuff. Now you have 800 points prepared pretty much. Hold on. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. 800 out of 1000. Now, there's this beautiful rule. It's called, oh, no, hold on. Arrival and departure score, that's the one. And use the TANE one, the Trains a New Era one. Do not use the other one. It doesn't really want to work properly for some reason. So just use the TANE one. Like that. Put it there. Next session complete is gonna be after it? No, it's not. Because we're gonna be I'm gonna talk about it later. So let's see here. In this arrival and departure score, you have several things to change. For station, check arrival time, due to arrive, bonus per point, score, penalty, check departure time, blah blah blah. There's a lot. You read through it, you will understand it. Let's see here. What time is our session setting? So let's go back to the quick drive rule. We are starting at 8:27. Now, just because I don't want to time it, but to time these sessions, to know what arrival and departure time you have to put in, you yourself have to go and drive that session, drive through it to see how much time it takes to reach the next station. For that, I recommend changing on the ranked session begin. I recommend changing it to timer, so that it counts how long you've been playing that session for. That's the best way to time the schedule for the trains. However, since I don't really want to do that because it is already long enough, I'm just gonna be guessing the arrival time, and let's say that we have to arrive at 8:37. So giving the player 10 minutes to get to his destination. For station, not required, but it's good to have it. Let's name it Pohranicze, as it is supposed to be. So bonus for early arrival 200, score for being on time 100. Now, the way I have this set up is that arriving on time has to give you 200 points. So let's change that. And just to be nice, if you fucked up somewhere, bonus for early arrival, let's do 300 points. Penalty for early arrival, late arrival, 1 per second, good. Check departure time. We will not be going anywhere after this. Click that to know. However, if you are going somewhere after this, there's a minimum wait, maximum wait due to depart, penalty, score for departing on time, penalty for late departure, and sound guard's whistle. So let me explain this as well. Minimum wait is the minimum waiting time the train has to be at the station. The maximum wait is the maximum waiting time the train has to be at the station. If you have stations that are industries which actually load and unload your passengers from and to the train, you want to set the minimum time to be the exact same amount of time it takes for the industry to load your train, and the maximum time to 1 second longer than the minimum time. Because if the player comes in late, so that they don't have to wait between, let's say, 30 seconds and 120 seconds, because the departure time check is basically departing the players between the minimum and the maximum waiting times, regardless of the actual departure time. So that's why it's good to keep 1 second separation between minimum and maximum wait at the time the industry takes to load and unload. In my case, I'm not going to be setting it to anything. Due to depart, when the train has to depart. What time? So that's the thing. Penalty for early departure or moving before guard signal. Self-explanatory again. If your train moves while passengers are loading, unloading, you get a penalty. Simple as that. Score for departing on time. If you depart on time precisely, you get points. For late departure, if you don't depart on time, you get penalized again. So you can set this up. If you set 0 in there, obviously nothing is gonna happen. 0 is basically the nullification to all of this. So you can disable the penalties, you can disable the departure times, you can disable anything like that. Since we're not going anywhere, click this no, and that's done. We have that. Now let's, for our next thing, to actually have the session finish when it's supposed to finish, we're gonna have to paste in again, not that, the check track site, and we will use that player 09. So like this. Next thing that we're gonna add is a rule called wait. Move that one right so it's under the check track site, and edit it and add, let's say 2 seconds. Just like that. And then rank session complete, move below the wait. So what this does is that when the player train stops, let's set this to stop actually, like that. When the player train stops at the track site object over there at the end of the platform, the game's gonna wait 2 seconds and then the session's gonna be completed. And the score's gonna be shown. So, close that, save, go to exit surveyor, so go to menu, and let's test it out if it works as intended. So drive session, and now we wait in the loading screen again. Oh, I feel like something has wrongly activated, because I have the game sounds disabled for you guys watching the video. However, I still have the sounds enabled, and you saw the arrival departure score thing there, and the moment you see it at the beginning of the session, you know you've done something wrong. In my case, I have terribly fucked up. I'm admitting that I did a wrong move there. Oh, white screen again. Come on. There we go. So this is why you always test and proof drive the session. so that you can fix all the problems. Well, this was embarrassing. There goes a tutorial, I suppose. Can't even get that right. Right, so back in the menu, edit session, and I've done the little fuck up that this arrival and departure score is supposed to not be like there. Let's put it down, right again, above, like that. And we're gonna put in a simultaneous list and put it like that. And now the difference is that instead of the arrival and departure score activating literally immediately at the beginning of the session, it will activate at the end when the train actually stops. So save, yes, exit surveyor, and let's get over with this. Drive session. I hope you guys are doing well today. It's been windy today outside, cloudy as well, quite cold, but yeah, it's September already, almost October. Right, so we're here, you see, nothing has appeared at the beginning, so we're good, we got it nice and correct right now. So now, obviously, you're in the driver here. On the top right, you can see the score, the stars there, you can see the time and stuff like that. So I still have the debug mode enabled. I'm gonna hold shift to speed up the time. Yep, just like that. Right, so now we see player has to go that way. Good. Let's accelerate the time a little so that we don't waste 15 hours just existing. Speed 5. So passing through our navigation points in here. Right. So I sped up through there just so that we can get to this point quicker. And you can see we have a different icon coming up, the diverge one, telling us that we will be turning off. Alternatively, if you have scripted signals, they will tell you as well. In my case, this one is telling me that I'm diverging as well. So that works nicely. Let's fast forward to here now. One tip when using this debug tool, never, and I cannot stress it enough, never couple while holding shift. Alright, let's see if this works. We have stopped, wait for passengers, we are early, congratulations. Let's see the score. We've got maximum, congratulations. You can see I've got 1100. It will go above those 5 stars if it can. Well, not if it can, but like, it always can. But it will go above those 5 stars when you have more score than what you have planned for. Now, this is perfectly okay, it doesn't matter. Here, for example, because I've set the bonus to being 300 on the schedule, so that yeah, you have arrived on time and early, so you get 300 instead of 200. That's the thing with that session rule for the timetable. The bonus points are what you're gonna be receiving instead of the on-time points if you are early. So it's not like the bonus plus the on-time, it's only either bonus or only on time. So, just like that. In the next video, I'm guessing... I'm not exactly sure. What is there left to do? Huh. Widescreen 9. There we go. Alright, so next video is probably just gonna be, I guess, the last one, unless I get some requests from people in the comments, in which case I will upload more after that. But I'm guessing the next video is gonna be focusing on more or less the freight operations and some of like the additional kind of stuff that you can put in, like objectives, introduction messages, weather change, and stuff like that. I will also see if I can squeeze in safety mechanisms like speeding and signal pass at danger and stuff like that, and penalties for that. Alright, so thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. If not, I'm sorry, I'm trying my best. I'm not the type of person who can teach people, but many have requested this kind of tutorial, so yeah. The next one is just gonna be additional stuff. It will probably come out a bit later than these ones, so all good. So yeah, thank you for watching, and bye.